Hello, Professor Anton. In this video, I'm going to describe what it is exactly I did for the project. Also, I'll be giving a little description of my understanding of the project because I'm not there, but I did take some time these past 2 weeks and I was helping out the group significantly. And yeah, so I'm just going to minimize myself here, put myself in this corner right over here, and I will minimize that, and we're gonna get started with some documentation right off the bat. So as we understand, this is actually a continuation of previous code that we were building throughout the weeks, and there's actually two code bases. There's a distribution center, which is a Spring Boot based REST API designed to manage and distribute centers and manage a distribution center's inventory and user authentication. So the DC has some modules that were imported into the pom.xml, Timeleaf, Web, Spring Web, Spring Data, REST, Validation, Data JPA, and Security. And it also uses an H2 in-memory database in Lombok for simplifying boilerplate code. So the DC has three models: distribution center, item, and user. And that code in the DC was mainly handled by Jason and Melody, so they'll be able to elaborate more on what it is that they wrote for that. Also, the DC contained a repository directory which was responsible for our CRUD operations. So the distribution center repository, item repository, user, blah blah blah. Those were also more done by Jason and Melody, but I will get to my part that I covered, and just some more stuff here within the report for the distribution center. So I can't really elaborate too much on that, but I do understand what is happening. And then if we go over to the main application, this is now the code base that actually communicates with the DC. So the application allows users to edit, add, delete, and search for clothes based on various criteria such as the brand, name, and the year of creation. It also provides a login and registration system for users to access the app securely. So essentially, my strong point was the front end development side of things and a little bit of the back end code. But if we go here to the code base that Melody has for this project, you're going to actually see all of the code commits, the specific commits that happened. So this was one for Mohammed. Let me see here, 33 commits in total. So if you just read over her pull requests that were merged, you'll be able to see the things I did for the backend side. Like if we go here, in order for me to do that one admin page, I had to do some updates to the controller, close management.java. But honestly, I can't remember exactly off the top of my head what I wrote because I was going in back and forth between researching as to how to actually do it. So just refer to the commits and see what I did for that code. So I'll just continue on and get into the meat and beans that I did. So here's some more documentation. Now, Jonathan's contribution. So I focused on the front end. I made sure Timeleaf was still communicating with the back end, and I used Bootstrap. So the Timeleaf templates used in the front end are interacting with the distribution center controller endpoints to display and manage the distribution center data. So Timeleaf is actually like a syntax thing that is used to make API calls, handle responses, and update the user interface accordingly based off of their actions. So if we see here, one of the code snippets, this is from the distribution center.html. It has some bootstrap class names here, just some basic stuff to provide like collapsibility and collapsibility on different screen sizes, uh, directions of how columns are laid out on the UI. And if we see here, th.each is actually responsible for displaying the centers and just a little inline style there. But the most important thing is that time leaf integration is still occurring within this code. So if we go here, this is actually a little simple design I did. and we're going to go to register, click register, wait for this to load, and I'm going to click myself as admin, give myself a password also as admin. I'm going to click register, and then I'm going to log in, and I'm going to go enter, and then I'm routed over to this page here. So some of this bootstrap was actually also done by Melody, but I did do like a good amount. Like if we go to the admin page, this page is the page that I created and the part I was responsible for. If we see the instructions again from, so this is the instructions here. Muhammad was actually going to do it, but I ended up switching over with him. So create a form on the admin distribution center page to request by brand name. Logic should be doing the following. And the form contains two fields, name and drop down, blah, blah, blah. So as we see here, here are the drop downs being taken from the back end using Timeleaf. And we see our brands are Balenciaga, Stone Island, Dior, Chanel. And the name would be like something that you enter in, such as t-shirt, etc. Due to a little bit of time constraints and a little bit of a knowledge gap with this part on my end, I'm going to show you that we actually get a white label, but when I click submit, but my intentions were to actually do the instruction that was required. So I tried, but I made sure like I had like some Timeleaf code in there to show that I was trying to communicate with the distribution center. So I'll break down what it is I did for this page right here. So very basic HTML structure and meta tags, easy stuff to know. I gave it a navigation bar right here, close distribution centers, that when you click on it, it actually routes over to the other pages that have close distribution centers. And that's a simple nav bar, expand, large, blah, blah, blah. Just some bootstrap classes that make a nav bar. And if we go down here, request item by brand and name and form. Now, this is the nitty gritty part of this page that I tried to get to work, but I believe I was on the right track with the Timeleaf. So this navigation bar has a form, or well, there's a form provided for users to request items by brand and name. The Timeleaf's TH action attribute is used to submit the form data to the close/request endpoint. And the form contains the requirements of being choosing a brand and a text input for entering the item's name and then a submit button. And as we can see here, TH each is assigning brand to this model, and it takes the values and the text. Once the user presses like submit, it calls brand and then it accesses the method get brand name. And that method was actually created by either Melody or Jason from the backend side. And essentially that was what I was trying to do with this page. So available items, a table is then displayed to show the pages down here. So this table, and the th each attribute is used to loop through each of the closed lists and populate the table dynamically. So this is the code here. So as we see in the tr tag, th each is passed an object of cloth, and we use this notation here to access that object, and then the tds are passed th colon text with the objects of cloth. Sorry, with the properties of cloth. So ID, name, brand, and yeah. And as we see here, href is actually making a call to the close details endpoint and specifying the IDs for each one. So essentially, that's what I was trying to do with that code, but that concludes my part for this assignment and my contribution. And to do a little bit more, this whole report was actually created by myself, so I took some time to look at the code base, and yeah, hopefully this was okay to sit through and watch, and yeah, thank you.